Welcome to HBCU Her Voice, a place where we celebrate the powerful voices and stories of remarkable women from historically Black colleges and universities. I'm your host, Shanadra Washington, a proud HBCU graduate myself. I'm thrilled to bring you this platform dedicated to amplifying the voice of our community. We dive into inspiring stories of resilience, success, and the incredible impact these women are making in the world. From trailblazing entrepreneurs to innovative leaders, we bring you the stories that matter, showcasing how HBCU experiences shape paths and fuel passions. We'll explore challenges, victories, and wisdom. Whether you're an HBCU alum, a student, faculty member, supporter, or simply someone who believes in the power of diverse voices, we are so glad to have you. So listen up as we share insights, celebrate achievements, and uplift our community. Together, we can inspire the next generation of leaders and ensure our voices are heard loud and clear. A grand welcome to HBCU Her Voice. And we're back to the HBCU Her Voice podcast. I'm your father's host, Shanadra Washington, streaming in the beautiful city of Houston, Texas, baby. And guess where we are? HBCU Her Voice. It's my favorite place to be. I am a little biased, but hey, Judge Obama, not me. Just kidding. We have another amazing guest. I am very high-spirited today because guess what? We've been recording all day, and each guest seems to be getting better and better. I think we're in for a treat. So guess what? Our guest comes to the stage, does our normal drill, tells us her name, where she's streaming from, which HBCU she's repping, and we hear their story. Without any further waiting time, here's my very beautiful guest for today.
Hello. I am Dr. Jamira Mitchell. I also go by Dr. Jam. I am streaming from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I am repping Dillard University. And my story is quite interesting. I came to Dillard in the fall of 2005, and I was on campus for give or take about 2 weeks, and Hurricane Katrina hit. I am originally from Louisiana, so I'm thinking, okay, we're just going to be out for a little while, but not knowing that we would be out for pretty much my whole first semester. So my first semester was spent at a hosting school, Louisiana State University, and we came back to the gleaming oaks of Dillard University in the spring of 2006, and we stayed in the Hilton Riverside for a whole semester. So we were able to take care of 2 semesters between January and July, and then we were back on campus in August of 2006. So it was quite an interesting time at Dillard, but we were able to get through it. We had quite resilience. We were not about to leave our school, and I just enjoyed the opportunity and am so grateful that I have the Dillard University alumni on my resume.
Oh, I love it. And of course, I'm in Houston. I've been born and raised in Houston. So Hurricane Katrina impacted us, as well, because we got like the bulk of the refugees that came from New Orleans. And I can remember it so clearly. And in 2005, I actually was in college too. I graduated in 2004. So I remember we actually had a couple of people that came from Dillard I went to Houston-Tillotson in Austin, Texas. So we had a couple of Dillard students that came up there. So that was just you have moments in your life, and that's definitely a strong memory for me in terms of hurricanes and all the things we have to do in these little coastal towns. Because, Houston, we always would get hit up. We had 2 major ones this year, and it's just, the impact of all of that. So when you said Hurricane Katrina, I said, I already know, Dr. Jam, that right there is something that is life-changing.
Yes, and then moved to New York and experienced Superstorm Sandy.
Wait a minute now, Dr. Joe. We got too many parallels right here. How about I was on a cruise ship during Sandy and got stuck on there for 2 additional days because the boat couldn't dock to the southern side, to the eastern side of Florida.
Wow.
it just there wasn't. I wasn't. I wasn't. I ain't been on a cruise ship since. Okay, it kind of scored. It kind of scored me. So thanks for sharing that. Now I want to jump into this because Dr. Jim has something that is called NIL. I want her to talk about NIL, what that means, where the name comes from, and what is the overall and arching goal, I should say, of that mission.
Yes, so the company is called the NIL Spot. So NIL, of course, stands for name, image, and likeness, and we support student athletes. But not only do we support student athletes, we support parents, we support businesses, and we even support the sports coaches. So um, as we know, those three letters now are great trigger words to start a conversation, be it good or bad. Should student athletes get paid? Personally, I believe they should get paid, but I think there really should be more of a tiered system. So we're here to introduce the students to how they can build their personal brand, and not only build the personal brand but sustain the brand, because you can have a lucrative deal while you're in undergrad, but if you cannot sustain the finances of it, if you cannot sustain the your personal brand, if in case you may get caught up in a tweet or get caught up in liking a post, and if, sometimes brands decide, we don't think you're in alignment with what we want for our target audience. So we teach them the basic industry jargon that they should be prepared for if a brand may ask them, so how are we going to get our ROI from you? We don't want you guys to think that that's cousin Roy. We want you to know that that is return on investment and what it means for not only the business, but also for you, because you need to ask those questions as well.
Not Dr. Jim just didn't say that the ROI was Uncle Roy. Y'all, please don't don't go to those people's meetings and stuff. That's return on investment. Let's make sure we get that out there, because she just don't want you to make sure that you understand the jargon when you go in there. But it's such a good conversation to be having, because as these conversations materialize about undergraduates getting paid, and I agree with you. I do believe they should be, for the time and effort and all the dollars they bring to universities and all
Right.
of the accolades and everything. I mean, it really is essentially a component for these large institutions. They're branding puns, but we're not going to talk about that. We're going to get too deep in it, but I do believe that they should indeed be compensated for that and everything of that sort. Now, I know that this is fairly new, right? You're building this thing out. I still consider myself newer on the business side. I left corporate in 2021. I really didn't start walking this thing out until 2022. I took like a year off to kind of detox and talk to entrepreneurs and do all these kind of things and read a book, 2-3 books a week. Just everything I was doing in that period. And I still feel like I'm still having some of the challenges of new. I'm not saying that I'm being stuck in those challenges, but tell me about some of those challenges of new, because sometimes there are those obstacles that we're just starting out. We're just trying to figure it out. Tell us how you kind of been navigating that space with starting something like this.
Yes, from the aspect of the topic NIL, that is new and ever changing, and trying to get people to understand that unfortunately education isn't free. So, in my 9 to 5, I am a career and technical education teacher, and I have the flexibility to talk about the fun topics. So, I have an intro to social media class, and we talk about branding and all of that, and then moving it into the corporate world. Everyone thinks that education is free, but unfortunately, this specialized education isn't free. And being the person that I am, I want to give it away. I want every student athlete, every parent, everyone within their ecosystem to learn about it. But it's like, I'm sorry, this is specialized education, and you need to work with me. And in order to work with me, you have to pay. So I think it's trying to get people to understand that you need the NIL education aspect of it. And also, NIL is for everybody. It's not just for student athletes to be able to monetize from. It's also for the small businesses. And I think sometimes small businesses think that, oh, well, we don't make enough money, so we're just going to let the big brands profit from NIL. But there is such a market, an untapped market. So I'm going to throw this gem out. So imagine you have a student athlete that frequents your, let's say, your deli because it's right on campus. So imagine putting together a NIL deal for that student athlete where the student athlete gets paid a couple dollars to make an appearance or even a couple dollars from sales of a particular sandwich that you make exclusively for them. So think about it outside of the box. So instead of taking, and I always say, take the marketing agency out of your marketing plan because you can do this yourself using NIL. So I want you to think outside of the box and don't be scared. So I think that's something to overcome as well because a lot of people are nervous about it because they don't know if the student athlete will show up. They don't know if the student athlete may get the mindset that they aren't being paid enough. So want the student athlete to understand that this is a stepping stone. You're not going to start off with the $1 million contracts, but you need to start somewhere in order to build that profile or to build that media kit so that you can show that yes, I have worked with this brand, I have worked with that brand. So get over the scaredness for the businesses, get over the gotta make $1 million for the student athletes, and for me it's overcoming the mindset of education is not free.
Mm, that was a heavy look. That was a heavy segment because even for me post corporate, right, and I was coming out to fill this thing out. I spent the most money I've ever spent investing in educational resources, and people thought I was in it. I say, well, like, hey, I'm silly. I like to have a good time, but I keep my head in the books and I keep my head close to education. I told people if I was to leave this space, one thing they will forever know: I'm a servant. I'm a forever learner. You ain't really got to describe me no other way. You ain't got to talk about nothing else about me. Know those two things, right? Because those things will always reign in my presence. You always know that, right? So that's very good. The other part of it I really liked what you said was this idea of this athlete starting with the smaller brands because you need to be, and because we live in an instant gratification society
That
where
microwave.
everything has to be done so quickly. You need to get that leg work and first start working with it. And for one, it's for you too, because you can start to see some things that you like and don't like. You can become a better person that answer questions. They don't talk about these things, right? You become a better person in terms of communicating around business versus just conversation on the street. This is what they're not teaching. So while it may seem like, oh, it's a small deal now, you're getting foundational experience for the next thing.
Yes.
And that's the part that's so powerful about it. So actually, to be honest, Dr. Jim, that was a big gem. Like you might have, so I'm giving you, no, that was a big gem. So somebody that's watching is thinking about a way to bridge. I don't care if you're a small business owner, athlete, and you're thinking about a way to bridge a connection with somebody in terms of marketing. She just gave you one. She just gave you an idea of maybe an angle and stuff that you could approach with a neighboring business, a neighboring firm, and say, hey, let's maybe work this out to be able to market something. Yeah. And we are in a society where people are so emotionally and they're vulnerable for human connection.
Yes.
They want human connection. So when you gave that gem about removing marketing agencies, I know at some point, of course, you get bigger and you have to scale. You have to bring in somebody because you can't do it all. But in terms of if you're working on a limited budget and you're just starting off, there are ways to build that connection without the agency, right?
Yes. Yes.
That is, I just wanted to make sure because that was a very good segment and you gave a lot of good things that I think that people should walk away from here knowing and understanding that. Which brings us to another good question for you. How important are networks and collaboration? I mean, NIL or non-NIL specific. How important has that been for you and what can you give about the importance of networking and collaboration?
Yes, as the I don't know, the little quote says, your network is your net worth. That is true, but sometimes you also have to gain trust within your network because they may see you as your 9 to 5, and I'll use myself for instance. Oh, you're just a teacher. What can you do from the business aspect? And I'm like, yeah, I got 3 business degrees. I teach because this is what I love and because I want to reach my students where they are at the foundational level so that they don't get into college with no understanding as to where to go. So sometimes you have to get your network to understand that I am something outside of my 9 to 5. So having a network that truly understands you from your 9 to 5 and from your entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial journey, that is key. So I have friends within my 9 to 5 that truly understand me as the educator, and they love talking about. Let me tell y'all what Dr. Jam is doing. Dr. Jam is doing this. Dr. Jam, and I'm like, stop it. I love them though, and also I have those colleagues within my entrepreneurial journey, and they do the same thing, but they see me from different angles. So my 9 to 5 friends really don't see me as an entrepreneur because they're like, you are a bomb teacher, and I love how you are bringing real life situations into the classroom. And my entrepreneurial friends see me as, you're killing it, you're disrupting things. So I would suggest you have, if you have a 9 to 5, or if you have friends and family, you have 2 different networks, and let those networks work independently.
That's good, and I think if you're transitioning out, you have the 9 to 5 mindset, and it's kind of sometimes hard to kind of step into those worlds without kind of blurring the lines and knowing what to say. And it seems like you're doing that very seamlessly, and I really can appreciate that. Because I would say this though, when I didn't really have like a model for entrepreneurship, right? I just knew I was a corporate girl. I was in financial services doing a bunch of different things, for 13 years. So when I came out, what the differentiator was for me was getting a network of entrepreneurial friends,
Hmm.
was getting a network that was beyond the people that were trying to build a corporate career. And there
Hmm.
wasn't good or bad or in between saying that I did not, it was a problem or we had some type of beef, but it wasn't the same type of conversation that I can have in that space anymore. Like it just didn't fit. I mean, we could talk about surface level things like how are the kids, what's going on for the
Yeah.
holidays and, different things like that. But when it came to that next level goal setting, that next level of what to do next, that next level, I'm trying to find funding, it just didn't go, it just didn't go there anymore. So I had to have that curve. Like I said, it was just a period of new for me because
Hmm.
I was learning to really truly ask for what I really needed. Because sometimes when you're on the side, they just give you all kinds of training. I don't need this. What is this about? What we got?
Yes.
I started to understand Dr. what I really needed. And I started to use
Right.
my voice and ask for that. But this is an excellent segue because something I read about you, you said that when you started the entrepreneurial journey, it was like one of your biggest pivotal moments was the finding that clarity. Because you were trying to, like in the church, they're talking about serving 2 masters and doing all this kind of stuff.
Lukewarm.
Well, you have to talk about that because I find this a lot. And because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what the space would look like. I was honestly, that's why the marketing wasn't working. I was trying to market to everybody. It wasn't
Yes.
working. So I want
Yes.
you to talk about your journey with that and maybe a couple tips to kind of get clear as it relates to kind of that purpose mission.
Okay. So we're still working through the clarity part of it, but I gave myself a 3-year goal. So I told my advisory board members, I said, year one, we're just going, and I love the phrase of just throwing it on the wall and see what sticks. So in year one, I told them, I was like, I would love this thought of having an ecosystem for uh, students, student athletes, for uh, teachers. Oh, I'm sorry, for student athletes, for um, coaches and for businesses. And I want to have be a one-stop shop where we have social media, we have if they need mental health, we have everything for them. And so year one, I was like, yeah, I don't think this ecosystem is going to work right now. So in year two, I said, okay, so year two, year one, we saw that it could work, but we still needed to streamline it some more. So year two, I said, okay, so year two is going to be the year of clarity, which is this is year two. And so year two, we decided to go back to the drawing board and we started thinking about how we can funnel it down. So we started looking more into the education aspect of it. So we are, building out content and we are building out modules for colleges and universities, and we've been pitching it. So that has been great, and we're also building a platform because in year two, I said we got to figure out how we're going to monetize it because year three we need to start monetizing, and so we're moving into year three at the point of possibly building and making contracts with local colleges and universities. So I did that. So I would suggest that you give yourself a 2 to 3 year period. And of course, as we know with the IRS, you got 3 years to start making money before they turn it into a hobby. So that also gives you the mindset of gotta get it, gotta get it, gotta grind it. So year one was just throwing it, seeing what stuck. Year two was the year of clarity, and year three we are going into the year of monetization.
Oh, I love it. And what was good about that is your strategic planning, right? So from that segment, I got to see like, okay, here is your one goal, here's your two goal, here's your three goal. Because the thing about it, guys, is that you have to have a plan. You have to put it down on paper. All this free winging it, oh, we just gonna do this and see what work. It's not gonna work on the entrepreneur side. Okay, you're gonna find even if you are generating some income, you're gonna find yourself burnt out, and you're gonna have a hard time thinking about a mindset of scaling because
Yeah.
you're in the thing in the crux of doing it every single day. I'm not saying that you won't have any success, but I am saying behind that, some of the things that you can probably look for within the next year or so down the line, where you're thinking about, okay, I'm just doing this little grinding. How are you going to come out of it and look at it as a more strategic and scale business? Is basically what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now I have to ask you this, Dr. Jam, because Dr. Jam, she got a lot going on. I mean, she's looking here so beautiful and modest, but she got a lot going on. I don't care how she's smiling and all this. She have a lot going on. Okay. Tell me, she's just laughing. Tell me about this balancing act. What are you doing to keep Dr. Jam fuel for the ride? What are you doing for your own mental health and balance? Because especially for me, because even with the business stuff, of course, I'm a mom and caregiver, all these different things. I sometimes have to step back so that I can kind of keep this whole train in motion. Sometimes I don't get to step back as much as I like to, but I have to ask you, as you're juggling on many different things, what are you doing in your space to keep Dr. Jam on track?
Well, Dr. Jam is a nerd through and through, and you can ex my advisory board members. I love researching. So I will send them articles nonstop. That is actually the way that I decompress personally. I love reading. I love thinking about different things that we can implement within the business. So, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, sometimes if I'm up, my mind is constantly running. So I have a notebook that's by my bed. So I have to write down everything. So I've been noticing writing things down has been helping me with balance. And also, my phone goes on do not disturb at 9 o'clock p.m. to 7 o'clock a.m. every day, Monday through Saturday. Not a day goes by and I felt that that was the biggest and the best thing for me because I would continue to answer messages or send out text messages, and now if I don't see it, there's nothing I can miss until the next morning. So I just pray that if it's a real emergency, they'll just say notify anyway. But I noticed that that has definitely been helping me personally as I balance throughout being an educator for my 9 to 5, an NIL educator, and also an entrepreneur, the 3 E's.
I love it. You know what, Dr. Jam, I'll be telling people this podcast be bored for me because I have been meeting my tribe. I don't have to feel look because I write every day. I just pulled this up from time. I write every day.
Yeah.
I write every single day. I write
I have mine.
I write every day, and then the funny thing about it is that, in terms of detoxing, I read a lot. I'm because they were asking me, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "Oh, I can't wait for this Thanksgiving break, whatever." I have these books I want to, and I just posted last night.
Yeah.
I said, "I got this book I want to jump into, whatever." They're like, "When you gonna do like a real? Is that a real vacation? Like, when are you gonna do like a real?" I'm like, "Believe it or
Don't
not,
judge me. Look, don't judge me. This is me detoxing.
It's like, that feels good and safe and soothing for me because, I was just telling the last person I interviewed, I said, like, this life, like this podcast, and you would ask me, would I be doing a podcast? And this persona that you get on this podcast is literally beyond me. It's for cause, it's for purpose, it's for allowing people to have authenticity and safe space. That's what he has given me. But if it was in my will and what I wanted to do, I would just stay in my bed and read and watch documentaries.
But that's why we say, let not my will be done, but let your will be done.
And that's why people are figure out the dynamic because they know when I finish my show and I finish everything I do, I'm just kind of like the kids they've always known. I go right back into my shell. I go right back to reading my articles, right back to writing my journal, and right back to that because that's what's safe. And that's what I know. And that's where I feel the most relaxed.
Yes.
So to people who out here like Dr. Jam, don't be feeling judged. You find your people over here that like to write and read.
We like to work without working.
Yeah, because I'm like, traveling and stuff, that's good too. I say, but I'll be wore out after traveling. I got to pack the suitcase.
You need a vacation after the vacation.
So I said, don't judge me. Okay, I'm going to get to it in due time. I'm going to do my decompression, how I feel so fit, and this is what's keeping me fueled. So thank you for sharing that. So it's going to be people in our tribe that's going to be watching and empowered by this segment because they don't want to do all the things that the world is doing for detox, okay? Now, Dr. Jam, you cannot leave here without telling us where to find you. Give us the email address, website, social media, whatever you want to share in this space. Please give it to us so that we have it in our podcast notes.
Sure. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Jamira Mitchell, PhD. You can get some great gems on Instagram at the NIL Spot podcast. If you like to email me, it is Jamira, Jamira, at the NILspotco.com. And I'm sorry, I'm not the one to flash my life, but I will always give you gems, especially on Instagram. So that's me.
Don't worry about it, Dr. Jamira. I'll be over the spine to see what you got going on.
I'm telling you, the gems are gemming.
I'll be over there spine, but believe it or not, we've actually reached the end of our podcast. And I tell everybody these 30 minutes, they be just so light and refreshing. And, we just want to bring the vibe and bring the energy. But this is the part in our show where we cue over to you for final thoughts. I tell my guests that if no one sees anything but this, we want you to give some final parting words to this space and give us something that actually captures the essence of Dr. Jam. So I'm going to cue over to you for final thoughts.
Yes, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for listening, because sometimes we get so caught up in life that we forget to just stop and listen. So educate yourself. People perish for the lack of knowledge. So please educate yourself. If you think it's too good to be true, it probably is. So always do your research. And while doing your research, do not be afraid to pull out a thesaurus if it's a word that you don't know or if it's a word that you need help with.
I love it. And thank you for being here with such essence, such poise. I mean, just beautiful on screen, beautiful spirit. I have to thank you for that. And to everybody else on the HBCU Her Voice podcast land, I will never leave this place without telling you that I love you and that miraculous things happen when you let your voice shine. Until next time, I'll be back with another amazing woman on the HBCU Her Voice podcast.